Hello and welcome to our first December edition of Under the Halo. I am Matt Stewart and joining me today are the usual panellists in Kevin McGackie, Jeff Nobes and Mark Harper. As ever, we're going to be starting with reviewing November's matches, and we will start with the away game at Liverpool, and I will start with Jeff.
Yeah, I was very disappointed with the way we performed, really. I felt that Liverpool's first goal was coming from the first minute. We just never looked like scoring. We didn't create much. I don't think we even had a shot on target in the 90 minutes. And it's a long way to travel to support your team, not to see him even really have a real go. So I was very disappointed, really. I mean, in previous seasons, we've maybe come away with a decent result or so, two up there. It's never an easy place to go, but you know, I expect to at least have a few shots on target and have a bit of a go, and we just didn't do that. And, you know, it kind of frustrated me when the manager turned around and said we played well. I don't know what game he was watching, but fair enough. It was 0-0 up until I think it was about the 32nd minute when Liverpool got the first goal. But that goal was coming from the first minute. And how can it help when you play a game of football and not have a single shot on target? I just don't understand that. And this is Premier League football.
Not only was it that we didn't have a shot on target, we didn't have a corner in the whole game.
That's another point there, yeah.
Kevin, your thoughts?
Well, I went up there and I was sat next to Jeff for the game, and I think going into it, I saw the team news and I'm thinking to myself, this team selection's awful because you got three players: Tadic, who hasn't scored, Redmond, who hasn't scored, and Shane Long hasn't scored a goal. Three of them starting, and I'm thinking to myself, why don't we play two up front, put Gabardini up front? Gabardini was playing all right before then anyway. I think he should have started. But then I was a bit gutted. During the game, it was like from minute 1 till the 30th minute, it was all Liverpool. And I can't even recall us even having a good chance to score. Apart from that, Tadic gave away the ball. Salah scored. Tadic should have just cleared the ball upfield basically, but he never did. And then the floodgates opened up after that, and I was highly disappointed with the game.
Mark, anything to add?
Okay, so I don't want to rake over old coals here, but we're going to have to. I'm totally with Kevin. I watched it on a stream. Unlike yourselves, I didn't take the arduous journey up to Liverpool and back on. You know, I'm doing the Everton game. That's, once the Liverpool this season is enough for me. So basically, true, we never really got the grips with the game. But like you said, half an hour in, you would have said, no, okay, I'll take that all day long. But then, inexplicably, Dusan Tadic has the ball, right? And I'm just sat there thinking that he's going to either hit it in the stands or just knock it up the field. What does he do? He literally passes it to Salah. Now, I can't recall what colour shirt we were wearing, right? But I'm almost sure we weren't playing in red.
Was our away kit?
Yeah, we were wearing the away kit. So you can't mistake Salah for one of your own players. I'm sorry.
He probably thought he was playing a home match.
I'm going to defend him slightly. He did actually get tackled rather than passing him.
Well, okay. So 32nd minute.
Your point still stands.
And basically, it was a very good assist from Tadic. Salah scores. Okay?
It was a
And then-
wonderful
and
finish,
then-
though.
And
Let's-
then the coup de grace, which basically killed the game for me, was 41st minute. You know, it's a pass basically from, what was it, Coutinho. You know, and it was a fairly long raking pass. I was sitting there thinking, hang on, somebody not going to cut this ball out somewhere down the line, like. And Salah runs on the and scores.
Yeah.
And basically, when you're 2-0 down at Anfield, just before half time, you know that you're not coming back from it. But, I mean, we didn't even show any endeavour to try and sort of get in the game from there on. And I know that it's difficult, but
For me, we just set out just to lose that match from the minute off. We didn't even
I-
look like we were gonna even create anything. It was
I-
just poor.
I genuinely thought at half time, he knows that he's got to change something, right? And he changed nothing. That, you know, like at the end of the day, you poor guys were at the game, you know, and
It was one of the
but,
worst games.
but I
I've sat through.
really thought at half time, I thought, we're 2-0 down. He's got to try and change something to get a foothold. It didn't look like we had a foothold in the game, you know, but that's basically my take on the whole thing. I mean, as I say, didn't have a corner in 90 minutes. A corner.
Go on, Jeff.
Yeah, I just wanted to make a quick point in relation to what Kevin was saying about one up front and what Mark's mentioned. I've mentioned it a few times as well. Is I just do not understand why they're so insistent on having one up front, because everything we've achieved has been good in the last few seasons under Pochettino and Koeman, qualifying for Europe, all those things. We haven't done it through playing one up front. So why is it all of a sudden we feel that we can achieve good things by playing one up front? And even when you're losing in a game and you think, well, half time, we're as good as dead and buried, you've got to make changes. They still seem to wait to make a substitution, or if they do make substitution, it just seems to be like for like. They just do not want to seem to go for it.
I think the set formation is throughout most of the previous seasons has been 4-2-3-1, but they've had far more dynamic attacking players behind the striker or to the side of him. So I get your point, but I think it depends what you just define as one up top, isn't it? But
Before the start of the game, you must have thought, damn, we're up against it. That team selection was just appalling.
It's the team selection I expected, actually. Seeing what Pellegrino had done in previous games, and obviously it didn't obviously work out, but it was planned for obviously counter-attacking football with meant to be the pace of Redmond and Shane Long up top. Like I say, didn't work. A couple of times, Long chased a few lost causes, which sort of looked half like it might turn into a chance, but obviously didn't quite happen. And obviously our best chance was from Bertrand's free kick. So that says everything you need to know about that, really. It definitely was, for me, the worst performance of the month. And I say the actual formation itself, the structure of and the shape that we tried to hold didn't look right. Mark touched on the second goal about the pass. If you actually watch it again, Van Dijk's pushed up to stop one of the sort of previous phase of the attack, and he hasn't come back in. And there's a huge gap between Hoot and Cedric, I think it is, on that side.
There is, yeah.
So, and that's where the space comes from, and it's a wonderful finish. Obviously, I've got it written on my notes here that I thought Mohamed Salah was absolutely different class, different level, but we allowed him to play at that level.
I think the difference between us playing Liverpool from last season was they had Mane in the team. I think if Mane was not in that team, I think Liverpool are a bang average team.
Well, Salah's scored, what is it, something like 14?
I think it's 15 now at the time of recording. I think it's 14, 15.
Yeah. So you can't knock a record like that. No way. But the other thing, just to round it up, was Coutinho scored from 12 yards on the 68th minute.
That was a goalkeeper error for me. That's no way should a keeper be putting the ball straight to Coutinho from where the shot was. That was a goalkeeper issue.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. And obviously from that point, there was no way even looking likely to get back in the game.
It was,
Well, shall we move on?
yes.
Because the next one's actually quite good. We haven't had one of these for a while. So obviously the next game was Everton at home. It was a fantastic 4-1 win. And I will let Kevin go first on this one.
I was just pleasantly surprised with the way we played in that game. I think Austin was different class that game, and it was good to see like Bertrand and Cedric whipping the ball in at the front post every time, and Austin was in his element that game. I think Tadic was outstanding during the game, but I must say Everton are one hell of a poor team. One of the worst I've seen to come to St Mary's.
They were.
Well, as we say, they were.
You mean. They were.
Go on.
So, yeah, I think Everton were pretty damn poor. And overall, I've got to say, in that game, I thought Fraser Foster, like, I'm going to say, from these three games, I think Fraser Foster's played all right from now on.
Good man.
Mark?
Okay, so for me, I would say, and I'm going to go on and praises from here on in, don't worry. But I've got to say, thankfully, we played Everton while David Unsworth was still in charge, right? You know, that needs to be said.
Yeah.
Everton were pretty poor on the day. You know, you've seen glimpses of Sigurdsson at times, maybe. But I don't think I've seen a more disjointed, dispirited team. You know, we had situation where Leighton Baines got injured. We had a left footer playing on the right hand side of the fence, and I think at one stage we had a left footer playing on the right hand side of the fence. So, you know, when you're having to deal with things like that, it's difficult. But I'll go into the game. Austin hit a post 11 minutes in.
Had a chance before that as well.
Yeah, and then and that was basically from a run from Sid down the right hand side. And then we had Dusan Tadic getting his goal. And, you know, I think it's important when we're doing these podcasts to praise people when praise is due, and obviously criticise when praise isn't as due. So, Dusan, you had an outstanding game.
It's one of his, like, do you know, you have a good game every full moon. That was Tadic's good game.
You know,
Well,
but he did have a good game, and yet you have to note these things. So anyway, he scored on the 18th minute, and then 40 minutes. So 5 minutes before half time in the 40th minute, James Ward-Prowse, I think it was, with a corner, and Van Dijk with the header. Now, I have to say, for me, he got his jump ball wrong for it, right? And also, I'm going to say, if that was last season, 2 seasons ago, he would have scored. Right? If everybody knows the thing that I'm talking about, he definitely would have scored. But there you go. So anyway,
we could say that in another game as well in this month.
Yes. Well, and then of course we had Sigurdsson and the Wonder Strike and St Mary's from being fairly noisy, because I have to point out to Kevin as well, we had the clappers and we won. So from you know, St Mary's being fairly noisy compared to other home games this season, it was like a grave. And then Charlie Austin, 2 headers in the space of 6 minutes, I think it was, in the second half. And everything was looking rosy again, 3-1. And then, of course, we had the coup de grace, which was, for me, the best placed finish of the day. And that was Stephen Davis, just from the edge of the box.
Jeff?
Yeah, I think 4-1 wins, good result. But I do have to stress, I do agree with what Kevin was saying about we were playing a very poor Everton side, low on confidence. I thought some of their defending was atrocious. And although Austin, I think, has been playing well the last few games, and I think he's been the difference, to be fair, I think some of the defending, especially for those 2 headers that Austin had, the space he had. So I don't think you can get too carried away, having won one game at home against a team like Everton with their confidence the way it is at the moment. I know they've picked up a little bit since Unsworth.
There's just a stat that goals at home all season in 7 games before the Everton game.
Yeah. Yeah. There was definitely some positives to take from the game.
Yeah.
They were a poor team, though. That's all I'm going to argue.
Yeah, but the awkward thing is they're now above us. My own review is, again, absolutely fantastic performance. By far, best of the season.
Yeah, without a doubt at home.
Every player at least was playing, above a 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
Majority of them having outstanding games. Lots of chances. It was fantastic to see us playing football that gave us these chances. A notable mention to Højbjerg in that game as well.
Yes.
Having just effectively come in from the cold and to really come in with a point to prove and put in that kind of performance was fantastic. Austin should have easily had his hat-trick, if not 4 goals.
Yeah.
But it was great to see him flourish and obviously repay the faith that Pellegrino had in him for that game. A couple of questions over his fitness at the time. Maybe there still is, but I'm sure
I just
match time will obviously improve that.
when we talk about Charlie Austin, right? You always look at players' attributes. For me, the secret with Charlie Austin is if you put the ball into the box from across, he will bust a gut to get to that ball for you. There was times even during the Everton game, right, that he was getting the balls. All right, they weren't on target, but he was getting the balls and heading them, and he had no right to get to the ball in the first place. So that shows plenty of endeavour, plenty of commitment. Yeah. And I've said in the podcast before, the thing is we have 3 strikers, 3 frontline strikers at our club, and they're all very different at how they play the game, right? I've heard all the different chat rooms and all the things on social media, and I know myself, somebody like Shane Long hasn't scored for a long time, right? But the thing is like I can appreciate that all 3 of them bring something different to being a striker. And the other thing that I was going to pick up on was, and this is a bugbear of mine, and I'm going to say it now, I was glad Højbjerg played. It was the right decision to play him. I'm glad that Oriol Romeu was suspended because I've got to be honest, right? I felt in that game we moved the ball quicker than what we have this season, right? There was enough endeavour going in. I mean, Højbjerg knew he was the replacement for Romeu, so he made sure that he was getting his tackles in as well as moving the ball quickly. And the ball was moving quicker around the pitch. I'm telling you that now.
Just going on a few other stats about the game. Obviously, we've praised Tadic already. It was his first goal in open play of 2017, according to
It was quite a lucky goal, though, to be fair.
Radio Solent. And for the 3rd goal, it was his first assist in 20 games.
I would say that's probably a worse stat, given that we do play 3 attacking midfielders. Supposedly to support the striker. Yeah. That's a worrying stat, really.
For me, I actually was thinking that the 2nd goal was the goal of the season so far. Really tidy work down the left-hand side. Fantastic flick from Boufal into Bertrand, and Bertrand, when he has his focus in the right place,
Yeah.
99 times out of 100 will put a cross in on the money.
Yeah.
And fantastic header from Austin.
Totally.
My little joke about that game is I want to know who rounded the woodwork and the bar at that end of on the chapel end, because there was 2 goals that went in off the underside of the bar that game.
But that's true, actually. Yeah, forget about that.
And then, of course, as we've talked about the 4th goal, obviously game over in that sense. It was obviously late in the game. Confidence was up. Again, very sort of neat and tidy play. And a wonderful finish. We actually scored outside the box. What's going on?
Yeah.
That was actually voted goal of the month as well.
Was it? Yeah.
It was
And
by
rightfully so.
by our fans. Just a quick word on the Sigurdsson goal. What a goal. Absolutely incredible goal.
Yeah.
As a few people pointed out, I don't think I've ever seen a shot go in after hitting the woodwork 3 times.
No.
It was quite a bizarre goal. Obviously, I sit in the northern end, and I could hear the ball pinging around off the posts from the other side of the ground. It was a bit of a weird one.
Can I just say, on social media, there was a suggestion by some Saints fans that Fraser could have saved it. I'm thinking, what planet are these people on?
Not a chance. One thing to note is that actually Van Dijk slips in going out to him, and nobody recovers from it, which is why he's had the space to take the shot. But, I mean, obviously, ultimately, it's a fantastic performance. It didn't make any difference to the result, and we saw a wonder
I've got
goal.
to say that if Rudy was fit to play, it might have been a different outcome.
I was very surprised he didn't play, but obviously, yeah, the fitness.
All I would say is, you know, the thing is, when you see a performance like that, you know, and I know that we have had discussions about people leaving stadiums early and everything else, right? But the thing is, when you watch a performance like that, I can guarantee you nobody left the stadium early that day.
We're going to move on, because I know there is going to be lots to talk about for the next game. Of course, the next game was Man City away. Quite frankly, a gutting loss. Very late in the game. As you can already hear, Mark's already getting his moans across. I think it was quite interesting to know. I'm going to start off with this one about the change of shape. We went to 3-5-2, which is something that the fans have been calling for a while. Obviously, the game plan was for that formation was looking to be more defensive rather than offensive.
Yes.
But it actually, I think it worked quite well. We contained to City as much as you can contain City.
Yeah.
It did work quite well, and obviously we actually were quite an attacking threat from set pieces aerially with our 3 central defenders, and could have quite easily scored 2 or 3 times from the chances.
Without a doubt.
So we'll throw it out there I'm going to go to Mark. Go on, Mark.
So,
bear in mind we haven't got that long.
yeah, no worries, and I'll try and make it as brief as possible. But I felt the way we set up when I first heard the team news. I got to go back to that. I thought this is just a containment job. It's a damage limitation job. But actually, when we actually went out and played on the pitch, you could tell that it was also about ball retention, because obviously we had the 3, what I would call deep line midfielders, you know, more or less, if you like, on top of the, you know, our sort of defence, and that helped really, because when the ball was released, I wouldn't say we were playing with 2 out-and-out strikers. What I would say is we were playing with 2 wingers, because you had Nathan Redmond one side of the pitch and fairly out on the wing position rather than on the sort of in the striking position, and you had Shane Long on the other side. And it actually did work in the sense that when we did manage to get bodies forward, or like you were saying, from any sort of set plays, obviously you had the aerial threat and everything else. But, you know, when we actually did manage to get bodies forward, it will look much more like a threat. And then, of course, you had the situation where, who was it? Højbjerg went off and he brought on Buffel after going, I mean, it was 0-0 half time, but they scored straight after the break. De Bruyne again. And straight up, not much longer after that, the substitution took place. They took, as I say, Højbjerg off, brought on Buffel, and obviously Buffel, I felt, was a greater outlet when he come on. I know he's guilty sometimes of overplaying stuff and trying to take too many people on, but he was a really good outlet for us when he came on, and basically came on, provided the assist for Oriol Romeu, and it was 1-1.
It was.
Right? So then we have 1-1, and we're going towards the 90 minutes, and up steps personality number one, the referee, Paul Tierney. Now, for those that don't know, a quick geography lesson here, boys. Manchester is in the county of Lancashire. Where's Paul Tierney from? Lancashire. Right? So, I'm sat there and I'm thinking to myself, okay, we've got 5 minutes up on the board. Paul Tierney decides to play 6. And believe you me, for those that weren't there, right, even if they hadn't scored in the 6th minute, we would have been playing on till City scored. Right? Now, the thing is I know City scored before that, but it was disallowed for a foul on Fraser, and rightfully so. Okay? So, in the years gone by, you would have sat there and you would have said, oh, it's Fergie time. Well, we now have Pep time. Right? And Pep time, because everybody's having a love-in with him at the minute, and the mainstream media, and it's all wonderful, and isn't he so wonderful, he's so great. Do you know what I mean? And I, as a layman, think to myself, well, if somebody turned around and said, Mark, here's £500 million, see what you can do over 2 seasons, see if you can get a team together. I'm not saying I'm a good coach, but I reckon I could get a decent team together for 500 million quid, get somebody else to coach them. But the thing is, and I'm going to say this, and I've said it before, but Pep Guardiola is not the new football messiah. Pep Guardiola is a very naughty boy, because at full time, he decided to act like a buffoon at a zoo, right? He was up and jumping up and down in front of Nathan Redmond, and he was remonstrating with him and gesticulating, and the hands were waving all over the place, right? And then I'm meant to believe that, Pep was just telling Nathan what a great player he was, or he was telling him that he's a better player than to just sit there and contain things. And this lad is obviously just following team instructions. But it's ridiculous, I just sort of sit and think to myself, if that was Jose Mourinho, right? If that was Jose Mourinho, he would have been up in front of somebody by now, right? Because for another thing, if you lay your hands on a player as he's leaving the pitch, I think there's a case to answer there. That's my own personal opinion. But obviously, I felt we were robbed. I gotta say, I'm not gonna get over this for a few months. I genuinely thought we for once, Pochettino or Pellegrino, anybody gives them stick about the City game, I'll be on them straight away, because he executed the game plan perfectly. He knew what he was about, and we deserved to get something out of the game. The other thing that I just want to say as well is that, the thing is, for me, Guardiola, yes, he is a breath of fresh air, right? He is a breath of fresh air. But let's not get carried away by mainstream media. Yes, his team plays quality football. There's no denying that. No denying that. But, fair's fair at the end of the day. But I sort of sit there and I think, how did the football authorities appoint the referee who's from Lancashire, and we're playing in Manchester, And it's the last time I looked on a map, Manchester was in Lancashire. You know, albeit greater, whatever you want to call it. You know, the actual Manchester itself is in Lancashire. But anyway, there you go.
Are you done now?
Sort of rant over a little bit, but it's beyond belief for me. Beyond belief. I go all the way up there and I'm thinking, we're getting. I know that we spoke about this in the car, Jeff, and you were sat there going, you know, it's only a point. But in relevance to the game itself, I thought we gave them a hell of a game. Yes, they had chances, but we had chances. We were always in the game. Always in the game.
Go on, Jeff.
Yeah, I think you got to give the manager more credit on this one. We went there with a game plan, and like Mark was saying, it was almost perfectly executed. And you know, we were very unlucky not to come away with what would have been a very good point away to a very good side, and you know that would have been a fantastic result for us and most teams really. But my point, like in relation to what Mark was saying about me saying it's only a point, is the fact that if it's all right being unlucky not to get a point away at a team like Man City, but then when we went into the next game, we against a team we should be beating, we didn't. Yeah. So that was my point there. But you know, it was a better performance. We seemed to create a few more chances, and I think it was a better team performance and just a better, more positives to take from that game than there has been in previous ones.
Obviously, taking the positive result of the Everton game into the Man City game really sort of showed that the confidence was up. Go on, Kevin.
Right, for me, going to the game, before the game, I thought we were onto a hiding. I thought we were going to absolutely get hammered. But then, like, seeing the team selection, I was very disappointed. I thought it was kind of, like, defensive. And then during the game, for me, I thought first half, Man City were all over us. I literally thought they were one of the best passing teams I've ever, like, witnessed. For me, they were passing the ball left, right, and we sat back, but then we had the better opportunities. Then going into half time, I was like, thankfully we're at 0-0. I was like, I don't know how we managed to get to 0-0 at half time. But then 3 minutes into the next half, we conceded a goal from a free kick, and I'm thinking to myself, surely the team talk at half time would have been keep it 0-0 for at least 10 more minutes. But no, it was like bam, the 1-0 City, and it was a Virgil one goal. Then he brings on Buffal, and I thought Buffal was outstanding. It was a great assist from him, and then we were 1-1, and for me, I don't know why we didn't go for the game. The game was there for the taking. We just got back to 1-1. We should have been full of confidence. City were on the rocks. We should have gone out and got the second goal. For me, he put on Charlie Austin, but Shane Long was the outlet, and Shane Long was the player that they were most, for me, City were most afraid of because he had pace and he was like giving them a hard time throughout the game. For me, Shane Long should have never been taken off the pitch. Then during the game, they had an intruder onto the pitch. So for me, they added more time because of the Man City intruder on the pitch and a Cedric injury. For me, that it should have been only 3 minutes added. 3 minutes added on time, and for me, 85th minute on the clock. The ball was in Man City's half. I'm thinking to myself, why are you not blowing the whistle? It's bloody been 5 minutes. Blow your bloody whistle. It's been, sorry for my language, but blow your whistle. And for me, the referee never blew the whistle. And then about 50 seconds on, they've Man City have scored a goal. And I'm thinking to myself, we were robbed. There was no... I wrote on my Facebook, like, we've been robbed. And I've actually been robbed. But people thought I actually been robbed, but I was talking about the Man City game. But for me, like, there was a big injustice. For me, we got penalised for an intruder on the pitch more so than anything.
I'm just trying to see what else I've written down here. I thought Fraser actually had a very good game from what
Yeah, he
He
was
did,
outstanding.
yeah, he had a brilliant game, mate. And I remember one occasion I think it was the first half where Man City had three attackers. Three attackers were actually burned down on goal, and he managed to produce a double save.
Yeah.
You know, the thing is, Kevin and I were talking about this yesterday, funnily enough, right? And the thing, or today, the funny thing with Fraser, and this is what I don't understand about Saints fans, because he comes in for way too much flack for my liking, right? The thing is he either has a really, really outstanding game or he's really, really poor. There's no
No in
average.
between.
So maybe I'm sort of sitting there thinking to myself, what you need to do, Fraser, is become Mr. Average, right? And then people don't notice the glaring mistakes as much. And then when you're, but no, I mean, I've always long argued that I just sit there and I think to myself, you name me a better keeper for the money that we paid for him. Could we go out and get better for what we've got for him? I don't believe so. Anyway, very quickly on another point, because I know you want to go on, Brett. I'm just going to mention this to you. Atmospheres in football grounds, right? There's been too much nonsense spoken on this podcast about the atmosphere at St Mary's. Try the atmosphere at the Etihad, and they've got a team to shout about. And they don't do anything. The atmosphere was dead, right? And while we're on that, the atmosphere at Bournemouth was dead on Sunday as well. And their ground was empty. There was empty seats. It's meant to be a so-called derby for them. There was empty seats in the ground. Did anybody notice?
Well,
Just want to wake you up.
let me wrap up Man City and then we'll go on to the Bournemouth game. I think once again Bertrand had a fantastic game. Obviously his cross led to the Buffal assist, as we've already talked about. I am actually going to pick fault with Saints players for the equaliser. I know it's harsh, but when it comes down to it, like we're saying, this could have earned us a point. Unfortunately, I think it's Romeo as in the last instance doesn't quite close down the space, but we sort of panic a little bit. We've kept such a fantastic shape and defensive discipline the entire game. And then as the ball has come back out to the edge of the box, before Raheem Sterling gets the shot away, we kind of panic. There's three people that rush to the ball, and Romeu hasn't quite got back to Raheem Sterling before he has the time to shoot. And obviously it's absolutely fantastic finish in my book. And just on that point, I think the reaction to their winner, and them all congregating down on the subs benches with the coaching staff, with the manager, just showed how close we ran them that game. That being that relieved that they'd got the winner, or maybe however unjustly it was, the fact that they got it and the fact that their reaction showed that they really knew they were in a game, and I think that is the silver lining to take out of the gutting result. Yeah, go on, Kevin.
Why is everybody happy with a point at Man City? Like, for me, they were 1-1. Why didn't we go for it? I don't know why everybody.
Because nobody else apart from Everton has got a 1-1 or a draw.
Yeah, but like
we're against Man City.
They
this
were
season.
really there for the taking, and for me, if we went for it, we might have got something for that game.
Well, I said we should have been further in front before
I want
that.
to know people's take on what happened after the game. I want to hear what your thoughts are.
Redmond's already given a statement, hasn't he?
Yeah, but the thing is, can I just say another thing, right?
We've got to move on, Mark.
No, I'm sorry. I'm going to say this, right? What really disappointed me about that, right? That game took place on the Wednesday, okay? And we had the press conference on the Thursday, right? Or on the Friday, because I sat and watched it, right? Pellegrino was asked, right? Did you speak to Redmond about the what looked like a confrontation on the pitch with Pep afterwards, right? And he turned around and he said, "No, I haven't spoken to him about it. Have you seen it? No." I just thought it was a complete cop out.
But what is he going to say?
mean,
What is he going to? He can't really say much, can he?
All I would say though, mate, is when things like that go on, right? Clubs take it further. We tend to turn around and just have our tummies tickled. It's the same thing with Van Dijk during the summer. They could have took that further, but Liverpool go and apologise, and we're like,
We're going to
oh,
move
that's
on.
fine, don't
We're
worry
going to
about
move
it.
on. We're going to move on to Bournemouth.
You're ducking it.
I am.
You are ducking it.
I'm doing a
Yeah,
Southampton. I'm ducking
you're
it.
being Mr. Fence there. I'm
Right.
sorry, my friend.
We're going to move on. If people want to comment on that, come back to us on our emails and on our comment
Yes,
sections.
please do.
But yeah, so we'll go on to Bournemouth, and we'll go for Kevin's first.
Bournemouth. I thought I was quite disappointed with that game, to be fair, because I think Bournemouth didn't look that great, to be fair. I thought first half we played some good football first half, but then like Bournemouth got the goal, and then second half, I think we absolutely tore them apart, but we just didn't get we got a goal back, and we didn't manage to get the second goal. But for me, Bournemouth is a game that we should be winning, and we didn't get the win. And going back to what Mark said previously about Pep Guardiola, I think
Don't bring him back on the subject.
I think out of one player that deserves a bit of like laying into at the moment, it was Redmond, because I don't think Redmond's been all that great. But when Redmond came on against Bournemouth, you could see that it kind of helped us to get the equaliser. And I think having Redmond down one wing, and I think it was Booth out the other wing, I think just we kind of like played a lot better second half than first half. So I think having Pep may have done Redmond a good thing by having a little bit of a rant at him, personally.
I think the disappointing thing for me was that there was chances for both teams to win it. I think draw is probably fair if you looked at the balance of play, but I think the fact that we dropped the points through a mistake that led to Bournemouth's goal, I think that was the most disappointing thing for me. I think he had warnings before he gave possession away, did Wesley Hu. It's unlike him, actually, because he seems to have been quite a consistent player, but for him to not read the warning signs and then to give the ball away, I thought was quite sort of, what's the word? It's just the wrong decision to make, really.
I've got to say on that point, individual errors this season by players at certain times have cost us dearly.
Yeah.
On a broader point, I'm just saying that it's cost us dearly this season.
I think Bournemouth should have had a penalty during that game.
Oh no! Come
and
on.
I also think that Fraser Foster made an absolutely outstanding
He did.
save.
He did.
That was going to be.
I think that has to be one of the save of the season for me.
That was a very good save. I was going to pass it over to Jeff, but as you've raised the penalty, it was the absolute right decision. I've seen it again, and I've watched it a fair few times again.
I'm sorry, I disagree with you, man.
No, you had your point that you were going to say. I'm going to say mine, right? It's absolutely the right call because Smith milks it. I don't care what anybody says about the contact. The contact is made by Smith diving. There is no contact before he starts his move falling down. He has his hands. No, wait. I'm saying this, Mark. He has his his arms together and his feet together, and he has dived forward. I totally agree. If he'd just naturally kept running and kept going, the contact would have been there, and it would have been a stonewall penalty. But he has forced the situation by his own movements, and that is simulation. That is the definition of what the simulation is for, and it was the correct decision.
To be fair to you, Matt, like a couple of my friends have said exactly the same thing. They've said that there was no, although he knew the contact was coming, there was no contact before he started going the ground, if you like, right? But for me, the fact that Buffel's making the challenge,
it was a stupid challenge to make. Absolutely.
I think you're making a run for it, and then for the referee, because obviously the referee in hindsight seen it back, and he's coming out and saying,
I know.
He should have gave a penalty.
So
you're on story ground there. If the
I can't quite believe he has come around and said that. I'm very surprised that he's come out. But if you actually look at the definition of what simulation is in the rule books, it is about making that movement before a contact happens. And if you watch it back, and he's even got it's a classic diver's dive into the pool with his feet together and his arms together. falling straight forward. And I think, for
Okay,
me, he's made an absolute right
you
decision.
think it was more in place with the Olympic swimming pool and Tom Daly then, yeah?
Not quite Tom Daly standard, but
Right,
yeah.
okay.
Anyway, I'll move on. I'll go to Jeff.
I was very disappointed with the Bournemouth game, to be honest. For me, Bournemouth just looks so average. I've got to be honest with you, it's what I saw. Bournemouth just looks so average. Now, in fairness to Saints, we were a better team in the first half. And we had a lot of possession.
No, I'd agree with that. I thought for the first half of the first half, definitely.
I think we were a better team in the first half and had more possession, okay? However, we hardly troubled their goalkeeper. They didn't really have anything to do. And then we went in 1-0 down at half-time, right? Now, in the second half, once again, credit where it's due, we were the better team, and we created quite a few chances in the second half. I thought Austin played particularly well in that game.
I think that's because Redmond came on first.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I think.
But what disappoints me and frustrates me is that once again, I'll say it again, we were playing an average side who looked really average. Okay? Now, if you looked at the league table before that game was played, and you look at the difference that a win would have made to us compared to if we lost that game, a defeat would have been horrendous, really, whereas a win would have been made a big difference, right? So I can't understand why, against a team like Bournemouth, and in the situation that we're in, why we didn't go there and go out all attack and play two up front and go for it.
I think, again,
Now you've got Gabbiadini on the bench, who for me is a decent international striker, right? And he's sitting on the bench for 80 minutes of that game, and he comes on for the last 10 minutes.
You're not decent if you're international class. You're not decent. You're better than decent if you're international. You know,
I just don't.
In reflection,
I don't understand why that. I just want to see my team.
He's tried to keep it similar to the Everton game and keep that positivity and mentality going.
I just want to see my team put in an attacking performance, and actually come out on top against an average side.
Yeah,
because I think
we had the chances to win it though, didn't we?
We did, but I would also say this, because we didn't take those chances. Bournemouth also had 3 chances. I think they were quite good chances where they could have won that game, and then we've got nothing.
No, I agree with that.
In that situation,
but we've spoken about the clinicalness of our team all season, haven't we? Go on, Mike.
Okay, so for me, I thought Bournemouth had pretty much the run of the show in the first half for me. And there's reasons for it as well. I'm going to come on to it, right? Okay. Can't remember who it was down the Bournemouth right, but he was having a field day against P.A. and against James Ward-Prowse, which is why James Ward-Prowse could take it off at half-time.
Fraser.
Okay? So, the Fraser, Rand Fraser, isn't it?
Yeah.
Rand Fraser's name is. Yeah, he was having a field day. Absolute field day down that right-hand side. And if nobody's seen it, I don't know what game we were watching, because it was blatant, mate. It was so blatant that it was frightening.
Am I right in saying that was his first goal of the season? Ryan Fraser.
It was, yeah.
Just thought I'd make that point.
But the thing is right, James Ward-Prowse came in, and I've got to be honest, right? You got to call it as you see it, but he was ineffective, right? He hardly touched the ball.
He had a rest, and he should have been on his game. He didn't play a single minute at Man City. He should have been the freshest player out of the pitch, but he looked the worst on the pitch for me.
Yeah, he did. But the thing is he didn't touch the ball. The only time he touched the ball was when we had a free kick. You know, and he struggled. He struggled to get the grips with the game. P.A. did try. I mean, bear in mind he's come in. Difficult for him because Sid got injured when he's probably in his best form. You know, for me, he was man of the match against Everton. Sunday, man of the match for me was Ram Bertram. I mean, I just thought he encapsulated everything about that game. He knew how important it was. He was bombing up and down that left-hand side, and that's where we were getting most of our joy from. You know, he's putting crosses in. You know, how Charlie Austin, I know he scored one, but how he didn't connect the one in the second half's beyond me. There was a particular ball, he had a free header in the second half that should have been in the back of the net for me.
Yeah.
The other one that I was going to mention was there was a cross came in from Ryan Bertram,
It was just
and
in front of him.
rather than him sort of trying to get at it with his foot, if he had come sliding in on that, that would have ended up in the back of the net.
I'm not sure about that. I think it was a bit too far for. You see,
so?
Bertrand's reaction, and he knows. I think he knows. Like I said, we were just saying that 99 times out of 100 he's on the money.
But
that was the one time out of 100 he wasn't on the money.
Honestly, mate, he was the one player on Sunday. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure everybody was trying, right? But he was the one player on Sunday that wanted to beat Bournemouth more than anybody else
Well,
out on
history
that
of Bournemouth,
pitch,
isn't he?
and he showed it. You know,
Yeah.
he showed it. It showed.
For me, he was Player of the Month, Bertrand. It's been fantastic to have him back at his full potential, and obviously, I think it's been questioned, hasn't it, in previous months about his focus and his temperament. But it's great to have him back on in.
But I mean,
showing what he really can do and being at the top of his game again.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny how you have that high bit, you know, where you're talking about Bertram, and then I'm wondering what the future after that game and after certain games this season, I'm beginning to wonder what because I believe, and I've said this on several podcasts before, I believe that James is the best when it comes to corner kicks, penalties, free kicks. But when it comes to actual open game play, you sit there and you wonder, does he have a future at Southampton Football Club? Is he actually going to be able to nail down I'm just asking the question. He's still young, I get that, but I'm just
I've asked the
wondering
same
if he's
question
going
on
to be
Twitter
able
and
to
actually
nail down a time.
got a little bit of negative feedback on it in terms of people thinking I'm being a bit sort of too rash about sort of saying, "Oh, what about his future?" But I agree with you there. I think he needs to cement a place soon, otherwise he's looking like he might be.
And the other thing that I'm going to say, right? The other thing that I'm going to say about the Bournemouth game is that there was times, right? If you watched the banks where it was the attacking three, right, and then you had the holding two and the back four, right? The holding two were on top of the back four. And the attacking three were so far away sometimes. I mean, I know it improved in the second half, but they were so far away sometimes. And again, even though we had the same personnel, we did miss Højbjerg, right?
Yeah, we did.
Because I'm saying this to you now, we looked slow again when it came to moving the ball around. And I am beginning to wonder myself whether it is Romeu, because he does like to dwell on the ball and take a couple of touches more than everybody else. But maybe that's just me.
Potentially. All right, we'll go to Kevin and then we really must move on.
Yeah, for me, going back to what I've got to agree with what Jeff said. Like, I think it's time that we do play two up front and play Charlie Austin up front with Gabardini. I think that partnership would be outstanding. But for me, the manager's afraid to do it. And secondly, going back to James Ward-Prowse, I think he did it in the first half. He did an exceptional cross where Charlie Austin should have scored, and I don't know. It was, for me, sometimes he's got an absolutely great delivery, but then sometimes he can be quite sloppy.
But it's not the slop. No, it's not sloppy. It's not sloppy. He's got a great delivery. What his problem is in the open play, and when teams have the ball, he's non-existent. It's like having a player that's invisible on the pitch.
Well, we're gonna have to move on. So that obviously rounds up the reviews. We're gonna look to the previews for the first 4 games in December. So that's starting with this coming Sunday of Arsenal at home. So just a quick summary of what you think is going to happen, and then we'll go through. Once we've gone through these 4 games, we'll go into predictions corner. So I will start with Kevin for Arsenal at home.
Well, for me, Arsenal play a back three of Monreal, Koscielny and Mustafi, and then they play two wing backs. For me, if Ryan Bertrand or Pierre go attack that wing, for me, like Bellerin likes to run quite far forward and leave a lot of space. If we attack that game, we might be able to get something. But for me, Arsenal have a great. It all depends what Arsenal team he puts out. For me, if he puts Lacazette, Ozil, and Sanchez up free, those three are deadly. If he plays, say, Giroud or Welbeck or a different kind of formation, then I think it might be a different result. It all depends on Wenger's formation for me that game.
Jeff?
Yeah, I think it'll be a difficult game. I'm hoping we can make a go of it and have a go. I'm struggling to see us beating them. Like Kevin said, they've got some good players and they're good up front. But maybe if we defend as well as we did against Man City away and kind of try and hit them on the break, maybe we could get something out of it that way. I agree with Kevin. I think, they are beatable. There is a chance of result. But I think you'd have to be happy with a point.
All depends on the team selection of Arsenal, I reckon.
But
Go on. Carry on.
But also, like with Kevin saying about the team selection, he could change it at half time. He could bring players from the bench. They've got quite a big squad. So, we need to win games, but you've got to be realistic in the sense of the next 5 or 6 games are very tough. And at the same time, in the position we're in, every point counts. You'd rather pick up a point than nothing. So we're at home. I just hope we can put on a show and go for it and give it our best really and see what we can come out with.
Mark?
Right, so all is not lost, people. Right? And hope springs eternal. Right? And my attitude to this one is, let's get out there and give them a game. Right? Because if you lose 3-0, 4-0, who cares? But let's get out there with the home side. Let's give them a game. But I'm trying to say this in a positive frame of mind, given our last few sequence of results, which has produced shafts of light for me in the season. My only concern is this: that Pellegrino decides to stick with the formation that he's played most of the season, and you're sort of sat there thinking to yourself, well, is that good enough? I think actually, I've got to say, one thing that I would say is if he is going to start with one striker, please start with Charlie Austin. Because aerially, if we can get the ball in aerially, then I think Arsenal may struggle, right? I think if we play Gabbiadini and try and play it in the feet, that's sort of playing into the Arsenal mode of play. So I think someone physically, you can have pace on the wings, mate. You don't need pace into your forward man.
Because I think Arsenal defence are quite static. I think if you go for pacey players, I reckon they might struggle.
So if you have it on the wing, interesting. I'd certainly like to see us keep the intensity up at home. Obviously, following the Everton game, Arsenal are very inconsistent this season. They've been either very good or quite poor. Away from home, they've had some questionable results. But they were very unfortunate against Man United at the weekend.
They lost to Watford and Vicarage Road.
Yeah. And of course, apart from last season, they do actually have quite a poor record at St Mary's. But as we have spoken about, obviously they have the class to win any game if they actually all bring their A game.
Oh yeah, we all know that. But I just think at the end of the day, given our results in the last 3 games, all is not lost. Let's get out there. Let's give them a game. Who cares if they lose 3-0?
It's about time we beat a big so-called big team. We're gonna have to win one of them sooner or later, and why can't it be Arsenal?
Moving on to the midweek game for Leicester City at home. Let's start with Jeff.
Yeah, I think I'm expecting a tough game in that one up against our former manager. I think he'll want to make it feel as if he's got a point to prove. I think, by all accounts, he's got on playing some quite nice football since he went there. He always seemed to play one up front with us, but I've always believed that was his style as a manager. But like I was pointing out to Mark on the way here tonight, since he's gone to Leicester, he's been playing 2 up front. So that makes me wonder whether we're playing one up front, not necessarily because the managers want to play one up front, but because maybe someone's telling them to play one up front.
That's good point.
Which maybe that's a a separate issue.
Maybe
we can
why
look
when we've
at
called for 2 up front, maybe
talk
why it's
about
not happened.
another time. But the game itself, I think it'll be quite a tough game. I'll actually quite rate Vardy, and he's a good player. I think they've got some other good players, so it won't be easy. But once again, it's definitely a game that I think we can get something out of. Probably more so than the Arsenal game, I would have thought. But I think we just got to take it that whoever we're playing, we're at home. There's points to win, and you got to go out there and play football and try and win them. And once again, hopefully it's a positive performance, and hopefully we get something out of it.
Excellent, Mike.
Yeah, Leicester. The team of the classic counter attack for me. Jamie Vardy. Ball into him. Can run the length of the pitch. It's not just the striker sort of mentality there. Also interestingly, when Jeff's talking about Puel, I can definitely say on the podcast wasn't a great fan, struggled slightly. But since he's gone to Leicester, he has given Demarai Gray his head. Now, Demarai Gray was in and out of the team before he arrived, and now all of a sudden he's playing every game. And, attacking-wise, Leicester do look much more of a threat. So, you do sort of tend to ask the question, was Puel, while he was Saints manager, told to rein it in slightly? But as Jeff says, that's a conversation for another day.
Kevin?
Well, for me, this is the game that has the must-win for us. Out of all the games coming up, we have to win this game. Or we could be, if other teams start to win games, then we could be in a bit of trouble. For me, I would recommend that Virgil van Dijk puts quite a lot of shins pads on because he's playing up against Vardy. And if you remember what happened last season, I would tell him to put a hell of a lot of shin pads on, put cover on, just protect yourself at all costs. Also, Leicester, their Mahrez, I think there's been quite a bit of unrest with him because he got taken off in 60 minutes, so that might play a little bit into our hands. But Demarai Gray and Vardy, they got Okazaki as well. To me, they're really good at counter-attacking, and I think we should wise up to it and just go for the game, I think.
Yeah, obviously it's already been mentioned, but I've definitely noticed the improvement for Leicester under Puel. Honestly, I think the way that they do things and the type of players they have suit Puel's style more than what he had when he was here. Again, another topic for another time. Obviously, dependent on the Arsenal game, depends on how we go into that game, but I'd like to see the intensity. Again, like the Everton game was the benchmark for our home performances. I'd like to see that keep going. I think it is a winnable game, but I think, as Kevin said, it is actually quite a crucial game in this period. I think both home games are in this little run. I'll start with Chelsea away. It's going to be a tough one, that one. Chelsea looking good at home. Obviously,
Have they lost this season, by the way? Do you know?
at home. I don't know off the top of my head.
Oh, Huddersfield. Or no, that was sorry. No.
I'm not sure about that, but obviously they've got their household names, lots of dangerous players. Obviously Hazard in the weekend just gone was absolutely running the show and is definitely the form player at the moment. Obviously there is 2 games in between that from now to when we play them, but yeah, we have to be very mindful of that. And obviously at Stamford Bridge, they have home advantage. Our record at Stamford Bridge is better than some of the other places that we've gone to.
Certainly is.
But it's definitely going to be a tough game. I think if we go into the same attitude and mindset as City, then who knows? We might be able to pick
I'd
something,
be
but it'd be very difficult.
surprised if he doesn't pick a similar lineup for the Chelsea game, to be honest.
And of course, obviously, yeah, we're not having the best record against big teams away at the moment.
No.
We'll go to Jeff.
Yeah, Chelsea away. that's going to be a very hard game. I'm not really expecting anything out of that one, but I think the way to look at that game is that sometimes you get a result that just comes as a complete surprise. You never expected to get that result, and it happens sometimes. So you know, maybe it'd just be one of those. Oh, didn't see that coming. But you know, like you said, it's going to be difficult. It's not going to be easy. I don't expect us to win. I don't expect us to draw. But then, you know, in that situation, there's no pressure on us. So I don't think anyone's really expecting us to go there and get a result. So let's go there and have a go and see what we can do. And who knows?
Mark?
Yeah, most difficult game out of all of the ones this month. Well, in part one of this month. Yeah, fearful. As I said, what I'm hoping we do is we sort of have a similar lineup and a similar sort of setup to what we had at City, and this time hopefully, you know, with a fair win, we will prevail and come away with a point.
Kevin?
For me, I usually try to avoid going to Chelsea because I've got a really bad record at going to Chelsea.
Your face.
But this season, like, I purchased a ticket, so I could probably give it away. Because I knew, for me, I've just got one of those really bad records, but I couldn't get rid of the ticket, so it looks like I'm going to Chelsea this season. So I can only see one outcome, and that's us getting an absolute hiding. That's
On that logic.
I've just got one of these. I've never been to Chelsea and seen us win. So it's like one of the grounds like Everton where I don't see Saints win. So I've seen us draw there, get it 2-2. So the best I can hope for is a draw there.
And then the final fixture for this round of previews for Huddersfield at home. I'll start with Mark first.
Well, it's going to be a convincing win. We went to Huddersfield at the start of the season when they had a fair win behind them. All I'll point out to you is Huddersfield have only won one away game this season, and it was the opening game of the season. I think I'm right on that stat. So I'm expecting us to have a comfortable, convincing victory. I don't think they'll be organised, but I don't think that they're going to offer anything near as much as what they did. You know, at the end of the day, I did say when we did the Huddersfield preview away from home, I did turn around and say to you, you know, the problem with games like that early on in the season is that, you know, they catch you unawares and they get a bit of momentum. And then when you're playing them later on in the season, it's a completely different picture. And I'm expecting 2 days before Christmas, we'll all be very merry.
There you go.
Because it will be a comfortable home victory.
Kevin?
I disagree. I think it's going to be a very, very tough game. I think Huddersfield are going to play. I think they kind of play similar to Burnley, in my opinion, but not as good. But I think that we might struggle. I think we might get a draw in that game. I don't think I reckon we're going to take the game lightly, and not go and kind of underestimate Huddersfield. It's quite similar to the away game. People thought we were just going to turn up and get the result, and I think
No, they didn't, Kevin, because Huddersfield were going well. Huddersfield were top of the table.
I reckon
when we
if
turned up at Huddersfield.
listen back to our Huddersfield prediction corner, I reckon 9 times out of 10, most of us predicted a win, and we lost. So I reckon 9 times out of 10, everybody's going to
We
predict it.
drew.
We drew 0-0.
We drew, Kevin, 0-0. So that's incorrect for a kick-off.
Go on then, Jeff.
Well,
Yeah,
I felt like I
I'm
lost
expecting
anyway.
a tough game. I think it'll be a scrappy encounter. I think we'll be the better team. Probably have most possession and create a few chances. I think it's one of those frustrating games, and I think it'll be a draw.
Well, obviously we'll go for exact scores in a minute, but I think Huddersfield have actually been very, very poor away lately.
That's what I said.
And the stat that none of you have mentioned is that the last time they scored away was
The opening day of the season.
absolutely opening day of the
Exactly.
season.
Same.
And that's not just winning, that's scoring.
Yeah, scoring goals.
So it should be a game that we really go and take
Yep.
to them. Again, at home, we'd like to see the intensity at home again, and we really should be taking advantage of it. And I've
Yep.
gone for a win.
I keep saying it on the podcast every time we come up against a poor team. You know, the thing is at some point you've got to try and take the initiative. You know, and at the end of the day, I'll keep saying it every time we have the podcast. You know, said it whenever we were going to Crystal Palace. We came away and won that game. You know, and these games, while we're all sitting here, we're all going to draw. It's going to be tough, all this here. But the thing is right, you look at the sequence of games from now till the 2nd of January against Crystal Palace, right? Huddersfield, right? Crystal Palace and Leicester City are the 3 games, I'm sorry, that we've got to be looking to win. Right?
We'll move
'Cause
on.
they're all at home.
Move it to predictions corner. Now there was actually a change in the standings for this month,
Yep.
and we have a new table topper, and that is Jeff
Get in.
on 12 points.
I'm letting them all into a full sense of
Well,
security.
you've definitely slipped, Kevin, because you're not even second.
I'm letting them think they're going to win.
Mark is occupying second place with 11. Kevin is third with 10. Hugh is next with 9. I'm further back with 6. But at least I'm not last. Unfortunately, Warwick Dave, you currently have 5. I will go through with Hugh's and Warwick Dave's predictions for these games, and then we'll go around individually. So Hugh's predictions is a 1-0 Arsenal win, a 1-1 draw at home to Leicester, a 3-0 win for Chelsea, and a 3-0 win for Saints against Huddersfield. Warwick Dave has gone for a Saints 1-0 win against Arsenal. He's gone for a 2-0 win against Leicester. He's gone for a 1-1 draw at Chelsea and a 3-0 win at Huddersfield Town. So that, by my reckoning, is 10 out of 12 points. So I would love that by Christmas. That'd be wonderful. Thank you very much.
But to be fair, Warwick Dave, I don't think has ever given a negative forecast for Saints this season. And in fact, I was on the phone to him the other night and I said, if you actually took your predictions from the start of the season, we'd be 2 points ahead of Manchester City in the table.
Oh, there you go. Well done, Dave. Well done. So we'll go for round on the panel now. We'll go for Arsenal. And I'll start off. I've gone for a 1-1 draw.
2-0 Arsenal.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go 2-0 Arsenal as well.
And I'm going 2-2.
Ah, okay. Leicester City at home. I've gone for a 2-1 Southampton win.
I'm going to go for a 1-0 Southampton win against Leicester.
I'm going to go for 1-1 draw.
I'm with you, 2-1 Saints.
Chelsea, I've gone for a 3-0 Chelsea win.
I'm going to go for a 4-2 Chelsea win.
Same as last season, actually, 4-2 at Stamford Bridge. Jeff?
I think I'm going to go for a Chelsea 3-0 win.
I think I'm going to go for a 3-0
Yes.
Chelsea win.
It'll either be a hiding or it will be a great result. So then Huddersfield at home, I've gone for a 3-0 Southampton win. Good way to bounce back after a Chelsea defeat.
I'm going to go 2-1 Huddersfield.
Well, I'm contradicting myself slightly because I said it'd be a draw, but I think it's going to. I'm going to say Saints are going to nick it 1-0.
Oh, he's going to stick his neck out on the line. 3-1 win.
I'm the only one. I've only one gone for a defeat against Huddersfield. Yes.
Wonderful. So,
Beautiful. I'm happy about that. If it's defeat to Huddersfield, then I've got some points going on for it.
you'll be the only one that will be happy about the defeat, I can tell you that. So thank you again, everyone, for listening. Obviously, this is our last one before Christmas Day, so have a lovely Christmas.
Yeah.
We will be doing, obviously, the Christmas fixtures special episodes later in the month, and you'll hear from us then. But for us now, thank you for listening. Keep sharing it, and goodbye. Cheers.
Yep. Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed what we had to say on this session of Under the Halo. It might be our voices on the mics, but But remember, it's your voices that really count on getting this podcast out to the fans. So please recommend us to your friends and other supporters to follow our social media. If you want to get in touch, find us on Facebook and Twitter at UnderTheHalo1 or use the hashtag UTHalo. You can also email us at underthehalo1@yahoo.com. Until next time, come on you Saints!